We have a lot to talk about, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with the camera menu, page 1. Okay, so I'm gonna make this as informative as possible because this is what I don't see many YouTube videos, catch, is they kind of graze over things, but they don't really explain it. So I will try to go more of a deeper dive in this video, but I do want to make it go quick. So excuse me if I'm speaking a little fast. It's a lot to talk about, and I don't want to go crazy. I can go bananas on each one, but we want to just be able to get to the point, give you just enough information so you'll really understand it and then move on. Okay, here we go. Image quality. Let's begin with that one. Let's get to it. You basically have 3 options. You have RAW, JPEG, and in some cases you have something called height. Now, let's discuss what this means. RAW file is a full-on 12-bit file. It's going to be the best thing. It's going to give you all the information. You already know that. If you have a friend and they're at a cocktail party and they say, I shoot JPEG, baby, those people were dropped when they were babies, okay? Because no one with a sane mind would buy a camera this professional, this expensive, and then just destroy it to be shooting JPEG, all right? So if they do that, leave that party immediately. Grab your drink, of course, and slowly walk towards the exit, and don't talk to that person ever again, because that person will probably burn your own brain cells by talking to them, okay? Now, if you go to this, let's just begin. There is 3 choices in the RAW. There is, I don't want a RAW file at all, which means you bumped your head when you were a baby. Ask your parents if you don't know. 2, full RAW, okay? Full RAW, boom. This gives you 4,438 photos with a memory card that I have on right now. And that is going to give you the full enchilada, 12-bit file, lots of room to be able to color grade. If you don't shoot RAW, you shoot JPEG. That is an 8-bit file. That gives you this much latitude for you to be able to make changes on the color balance, on the exposure, recovering highlights, recovering shadows. None of that stuff is going to be able to, you're not going to have much latitude there at all. You can do some correction, but it's very minimal. When you shoot JPEG only, you're basically taking the picture exactly how it's going to come out, besides retouching the skin. So keep that in mind. Everything is baked in, okay? The next one is the compact RAW. Okay, so you have something called compact RAW. It's not compact RAW, it's actually kind of a lifesaver for many people. Here's why you would use it. It is a version of the RAW file. It's like its little brother. It's still a RAW file, so you still get the full latitude to be able to do things with, but it's a little bit smaller. So look at that. You have 4,438 photos on the full RAW, but on the compact RAW, it jumps you up to 7,220 files. And it keeps the same resolution, see? 7,000 by 4,600 or 6,960 by 4,600. So it just reduces the amount of the size. It almost gives you double the amount of photos that are still raw that you can put in your memory card. Okay, let's say you're shooting a wedding. Okay, I'm just giving you an example of something that takes a lot of photos. You're going to shoot a wedding. You're probably going to shoot it in RAW. Okay, bride getting ready, father seeing the bride for the first time, RAW. White dress, black tuxedo, RAW. Okay, you want to be able to recover and balance those 2 things. As soon as you get to the reception, go to compact RAW, because you don't need full resolution photos of people drunk, dancing, and spitting out of their mouths because they can't keep their crap together. Does that make sense? So there's just way too many people that are wasted at ceremonies for them to be rewarded with a RAW file. Punish those suckers by putting a compact RAW and then say, that's right. And if they're totally wasted, and they're just, hey, you, the photographer, come on, they could take a picture of it. You know, that happens all the time at weddings. Smack them with a JPEG file only, okay? Smack them with a JPEG file and teach them a lesson not to drink so much. So if you have a drunk person, go to JPEG only, okay? If they're super cool or they're important, go to the RAW file at the reception. And if they're just guests and nobody cares, go to compact RAW and you're good to go. Sounds good? So compact RAW, it's good for the dance pictures. You know, you can still recover information, but you don't have to be wasting your whole memory card and people just dancing. And most people are bad dancers anyway, so you don't want raw photos of bad dancers. Like if I danced, you don't really want the camera on because it's so bad. All right, so let's just move on from that. Now, in the JPEG format, you have no JPEG, so only RAW. So this is only RAW, no JPEG. You can see these lines, you're not shooting any JPEG. Then you have a smaller quality, large JPEG. Why would you even do that? I don't know. Medium, small, and small, super small, and super stupid small. I mean, this is only 3.8 megapixels. If you choose this, it's probably for 2 reasons. By accident, or you bumped your head when you were a child, And that's probably that's the only reason why you would ever choose this kind of stuff. I mean, you're already basically screwing yourself when you put it on JPEG, right? Because it's all baked in, you have no information, it's AP file, it's a terrible way to go. So why would you even torture yourself even more by degrading the file even more and more? I don't know. There's no reason. There's no reason. Put it on the menu, put it in the comments. I would like to hear if anybody out there uses any of these super small or medium. I would like to know why. And I also want to speak to your parents and ask them if you bumped your head or if they dropped you when you were a child, because I want to know why would anybody rationally use these files. Sounds good? So please put it in the comments if you do it. And don't tell me it's because I didn't have memory card space, because memory cards are too cheap for you not to just get a normal memory card, 512 gigabytes or something like that. You would never use this stuff. All right, moving on to the next one. Let me just jump in here to at least make you aware of some highlight features of the most unique photography retreat conference in the United States. It's called the Photo Creators Conference. It is held in Tucson, Arizona at the end of May or beginning of June every year. And I made this conference as a wish list of everything I've always wanted to see whenever I've attended photo conferences or conventions all over the world. Some of the highlights are, number one, the location had to be key. I did not want it to be in a normal hotel in Las Vegas or something. I wanted it to be in an intimate environment where everyone can be inspired by the beauty of the location. So we hold the conference at a dude ranch in the Sonoran Desert in the outskirts of Tucson, Arizona. Number two, we are all together at this conference for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're all sitting in the same dining room. There's not anywhere else to eat, but the food is incredible, from vegan to vegetarian to carnivores. You can have anything you want because there's a famous chef that caters to the people that are attending the conference. Number three, the models. The models are where we spend a lot of our resources. One of the biggest wishes I had was to go to a photo conference that had actual professional agency represented full-time models. Because when you learn something from a teacher or an instructor, you want to be able to apply that knowledge with people that inspire you. But some of these models are so out of reach, or they could be out of reach. But because of my connections, I was able to get them to come to the conference. And every year we bring models from all over the United States and even Europe, including Switzerland, just so you can have the most incredible people to use to photograph when you're trying to apply what you just learned. The other one is we have all the vendors are going to be there in a more intimate way. No more do you have to wait behind a table waiting for them to talk to you in a line of 100 people. At the Photo Creators Conference, all the companies that come, from B&H to Canon to Profoto to Lexar to 17 Hats, and you name it, the biggest companies in the photo industry all show up. And you get to know the people that work behind these companies in a much more intimate way, because we're having fun together instead of just going to a trade show floor and waiting in line to speak to them. Number five, instead of inviting every person imaginable that wants to teach, I hand select the educators that come to teach the classes based on their reputation as teachers and also their reputation as photographers. We invite the very best of the best to come and teach at the Photo Creators Conference, including Lindsay Adler, Jerry Guionis, Joe McNally, Dixie Dixon, myself, Jesus Ramirez. You can just, anyone anyone in the photo educational space has been there, has taught there, and we are going to have them back over and over. If you don't know, go to the Photo Creators Conference website. You can check out who's teaching this year, and I will see you all in Tucson, Arizona. Take care, and I'll see you there. Okay, the next one is one that's actually quite cool. This is called Dual Pixel RAW. This is very much dedicated to Canon only, and basically you're gonna have to learn that you're never gonna use this feature unless you really need to be rescued. This is like a rescue Hail Mary. Please, I messed up the photo on the most important person I've ever photographed, and you need to be able to do everything you can in your power to rescue yourself from messing up the photo. That's when Dual Pixel RAW can come and save the day. If you had any kind of normal problems or mistakes, you still don't need this. It's like an emergency only sort of situation. Here's the way it works. You're gonna go to Dual Pixel RAW, and you're gonna have the options or disable and enable. And what's cool is that in some of the menu items, you have info. You can click the info button, and it will explain to you what this feature is going to do. So you have a little bit of a quick idea of what you're doing, which I appreciate Canon doing because it's really cool. But when you enable this, okay, your camera is basically going to grab each pixel in the sensor. It's going to double the diodes that accept color information into the pixel. So it's basically doubling the size, almost doubling the size of your file, creating almost like a file and a pseudo file that's slightly shifted, okay? So what it does is that, what are the advantages of that? Because there's a big price to pay in terms of storage, right? Like once you enable this, when you take a picture, it's going to almost double the information in your memory card. So what's the advantages? Okay, number one, you will be able to have the ability to shift the background out of focus background a little bit left, right, up, or down. You're able to do some shifting of it. Is it really that visible? Not really. But if you want to get off on that kind of thing, if that's your jam, go for it. I've tried it many times. I don't see a damn difference. I can see the background shifting. I can see it left, right, but it's such a small amount of shifting that it's like, okay, what? Like, how does that even do anything? It doesn't. But if you are one of those people that gets off on weird stuff, there's some kinky people out there, then try that shift in the bokeh in the background with dual pixel RAW. Now, number two, which is very useful, is when you have dual pixel RAW enabled, you're able to focus shift. You're able to shift the focus point. So let's say you photograph an important headshot and the camera, let's say you're shooting at 1.2 because you want to get that super shallow depth of field, okay? If the camera accidentally focuses on the eyelash and not on the eyeball itself, you are going to be very upset because that's something you really want to make sure that you nailed, right? Tack sharp on the eyeball. Dual pixel RAW is incredible in the sense that if your mistake is 1 or 2 millimeters, you're able to bring the focus, shift the focus back to the eyeball. Of course, for that, you need to know two things. It's a very small amount that it can fix. So if it's focused on the ear and you're trying to focus on the eye, forget it. If it's literally 1 millimeter to maybe 2 millimeters, which sometimes that's enough to ruin your picture, with dual pixel RAW, you can bring it back. Now, why would you ever turn this on? If I'm doing important headshots, okay, I do a lot of celebrity work. When I'm shooting headshots of the celebrities, like more close-up, I turn on dual pixel RAW. It still gives me a raw file. I can still use it on Capture One. I can still use it in normal stuff. But to get the capabilities of dual pixel RAW, to be able to shift the focus and shift the background and all of this, you're gonna need to download Canon's Digital Photo Professional software. So let me repeat, you cannot take advantage of what the dual pixel RAW can give you unless you have Digital Photo Professional, which is a very clunky software. It's made by Canon. It's free. You can download it on usa.canon.com. Download that software. It will be Canon's main processor for its own RAW file. So it's the only software in the world that is programmed to fully take advantage of everything a Canon camera can do in better ways than Capture One, Lightroom, Adobe Camera Raw. Like, people never used Canon's Digital Photo Professional because nobody likes it. But the few people that, if you actually spend time on that software and you need rescuing, there is no better software than that. Let me know in the comments, actually, if you would like me to make a video on Canon's Digital Photo Professional and explain to you how all this works. If there's enough comments, people saying, yes, do it, I will go ahead and take the time. The reason why I'm asking you to put it in the comments is because most people are never going to use this, and I don't want to waste my time putting it all together if nobody cares. But if you do care, you want to see how those emergency things can happen, or how it can save you, then let me know and I will make a bound for you. Okay? So that is Dual Pixel RAW by Canon. You do need Canon's Digital Photo Professional software. However, if you do have this enabled and you forget to have it enabled, and you have a RAW file, you can still use your RAW file on regular software like Capture One. The bokeh shift, you won't be able to do any of those things. Only on Canon software you can do that. Okay, the next one is cropping aspect ratio. Okay, let's get to this one real quick. Let's get to it. My feelings have changed on this setting. Here's when you would use it, what you would do. Cropping aspect ratio gives you these options right here. It gives you the full frame, okay? You can do a 1.6 crop, so basically we'll crop in the sensor in the middle and basically we'll cut out all that resolution out of the outer part of the sensor, so you will lose it forever. It's gone. 1:1 is a square ratio if you want to take square pictures and you don't want to do it in post. If you do that, you probably check with your parents if you bumped your head. 4:3 is what an 8:10 or a 16:20 ratio will look like. And a 16:9 is that cinematic look that you can get. So let's go to full frame sensor. You basically get this. Here's the full frame. Look how far away the people are. My little mannequins are from there, okay? Now, if you switch over to 1:1, this black, and it's a square. That's all you can see is a square. So all this resolution that you once had, gone, baby, gone. See you later. You will never get that back, okay? And you can do 4/3, which is what an 8:10 looks like. So here's 4/3, which crops a little bit less than a square file. And of course, you have 16:9 to give you that cinematic look in case you want to get that look for some reason. Now, here's what's cool about it. If you go to, for example, 4/3, okay? You can click the info button right there. Click on the info button, whoop, right here. And you're presented with two options. Option one is mask the section that is cropping out. And the other one is outline the section that is cropping out. If you masked it, you will not see, it will be those black bars. You will basically not see anything that you're cropping out. It will be tunnel vision into your crop, okay? Which is what I showed you now. Look. This is see the black right here on the edge of the screen, on the edge of that screen? That's the cropping. You'll see it better on 1:1. See? Big black lines, big black bars, cropped out. The other option is for you to go to info and go to outline. And if you go to outline, you will still get the full sensor. You can see the full sensor. You can see what you're cropping out, even though you're still cropping it out. But you get these lines that give you a guide of where that square crop is. Now remember this. Here's one thing that I want to talk to you about before you go and do this. Keep this on full frame, okay? But in case you make a mistake and you accidentally crop the sensor into 1:1, here's where you can be rescued. Again, Canon's Digital Photo Professional is the software that you will need to rescue you in case you accidentally kept that on and you crop parts of your image out. But it has to be a raw file. If it's a JPEG file, you are what we would call in the United States of America screwed, because it is now baked into your file. The cropping is baked in, so it is cropped. You will not be able to recover it. However, in Canon's Digital Photo Professional software, if it's a raw file, again, it has to be a raw file, even compact raw. You can put that photo in that software and it will actually allow you to bring back the stuff that it cropped out. That's why that software, even though people hate on it, it has its purposes. And its purpose is it's a software that will rescue you like no other software will. If you have a Canon camera, download the software. It's free. You don't have to use it unless you need it, okay? The next one is digital teleconverter. This is actually really interesting. This is different than cropping the sensor in the way that when you use the cropping aspect and you go to 1.6 to give you a tighter crop, you are actually losing part of the sensor. You're losing resolution. However, in digital teleconverter, if you have this, there we go. If you have this on digital teleconverter and you have it on 2x, what it does crop in the sensor again to give you that zoom in version, but then the camera's computer will rebuild all the pixels that it cropped out to keep the full resolution of the file. So for example, if you click on 2x, look what happens. Here is off. This is off. You can see how big the framing is. Now I'll try not to move the camera for you. I'm gonna go to 2x. Look how close up that is now. That is super, super close up now. Okay. And if you go to 4x, now you're crazy zoomed in. Okay. So now this is like super, super wild zoom in. So I have a 50 millimeter lens. So if you put this at 2x, now it's 100 millimeters. It's pretty wild to be able to have that. And remember, the difference is you do not lose resolution. What you do lose is a little bit of quality because it's basically rebuilding pixels that were never captured. So it's rebuilding them, but it does a darn good job. The other day I went and I took this outside of my studio and I just shot some photos with a McDonald's sign in front of me, in front of my studio here. And the 2x, I couldn't really tell the difference between the full resolution and the 2x, which is pretty amazing. I mean, you can, if you really like pixel peep, if you're one of those people that gets off on that. If you do get off on pixel peeping, you probably don't have a girlfriend or a boy. Let's just move on. There are people that like to pixel peep. If you're a normal, healthy person, you don't pixel peep. You just move on with your life and go on a date and get a drink. Usually at old-fashioned, Manhattan, martini, something like that. But telling the girl you're dating that you like to pixel peep, yeah, that's not going to be a successful strategy for you for the evening. So let's just move on. So when you go to 2x, you're going to have a pretty darn good 2x exposure without losing any resolution, and you're gonna lose a little bit of quality. When you go to the 4x version, you will notice a quality loss, but if it's worth it to you to have that, I would think that's still good, because even at 4x, I still had to go in there and kind of look carefully to see what the the quality loss was. So another thing is this digital teleconverter. I have never seen it before in a Canon camera. Usually you have to pay for an actual optical teleconverter, like a 2x or a 1.6 or something. And those things, they're clunky. You have to put them in the back of the lens, and it's like it changes the way it focuses a little bit. It's a little bit of a hassle. So if you're in an African safari, you want to absolutely get that moment, decisive moment of a lion like catching the prey or something, and you want to get that close up, then just go to the teleconverter option and try the 2x. And if you absolutely have to, try the 4x. But I think the 2x is probably the limit of what I would recommend. That, my friends, is the end of the camera menu, page 1. Now we're going to move on to page 2 and let the fun roll in. Let's go.